buses on our streets to offices which are patronized by thousands of the population, access for persons with disability remains a challenge. So today our spotlight is on persons living with disabilities. Welcome to the show. This is I's Right, the show that teaches you about your rights and responsibilities. We introduce you to Cecilia and share with you her story.
Stranded and helpless, that is the fate of many persons with disability in Ghana. Many structures in Ghana are not disability friendly, leaving persons with physical disability out. 9 years since the Disability Act was enacted to address several concerns of people with disability, little has been achieved, with accessibility being one of the biggest challenges. Ghana has signed and ratified the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability. Unfortunately, little can be said about implementation. Transportation remains a hectic challenge.
A motorist shall stop for a person with disability who shows an intention to cross the road either at a pedestrian crossing or at an appropriately designated point. Section 29 also, it said a person responsible for the booking of passengers on a commercial bus shall reserve at least 2 seats for persons with disability.
Say mi jina o mi be fa ka yem fami obi ba ya fa no a mi jina o yem fami e ma mi reho ye papa ba say ni ama me ni agin kakra ni say driver na o jina ya wo hu mi mobo a wo fami.
Cecilia Chunto, 28 years, is emotional about how society treats her. Paralyzed from childhood, she had to adjust to the harsh realities persons with disability face.
I started schooling in my hometown, which is Senyabreku in the central region. At 14 years in JHS 2 or so. And I went to school. I couldn't come back to the house. So a friend had to carry me on her back to the house. So when my mother came from the farm, she asked me to get up and I told her I can't stand on my feet and walk. So my paralyzation starts at the age of 14 years. I stopped schooling. So my mom brought me to Accra. By then my father was staying in Accra here at CFC, Domi CFC. So when we came to Accra, someone directed us to Nipe Hiamwa. I was given some treatment and some medicine in about 3 months and nothing was happening.
Cecilia's mother, Mary, searched for healing for her daughter, but to no avail.
No billy chay drew nay and ye would be ye. Yan actually no ye. Pabon quitting. Afi wo bompaya afi wo se mi na me ya no mi hu na ni wadompo no wo bobo ma so oh na ma ya basa nti na onu mo na no chede afi ma me ne so ntumi ya na edure bi na yin pai o se emi na me ya anyen na me ya abofre nso me da mi hu ma me yen semisoni na mo semisoni nsambo semina kwa hino chise nyame a ha tasori nti nyame nkoti na obetum edi damasa ntume nkarhwe nti sese aso meso mi yo biala me po na aman mi didi ne mo dama sese nyame yankopon frama mi mi da mo ati biala nyame be frama ne yankopon frama na chada mo.
Tired of several solutions to make her walk, which failed, she was forced to accept the reality of being a wheelchair user and get an education.
2004, I was operated on the spinal cord, because when we went there, the doctor said maybe the thing may be coming from the spinal cord. So I was operated on the spinal cord, but they told me when they do the operation, they did not know whether I'll walk or not, and the operation to have to be done. If they are not able to do, if my mother did not give them chance to do the operation, maybe in future it will affect me. So we have to do the operation. So we did the operation in 2004.
Did you have money for the operation?
No.
So what happened?
I helped my mother to sell at the roadside at Tantra Hill to raise fund. We got only 800 Ghana cedi, which is new Ghana cedi, but in the old Ghana cedi was 8 million. That was the only fund we were able to raise. So when the doctor came, they have pity on me, and then they operated me on the spinal cord in 2004. So the doctor told my mother that after the operation, she should try and take me to school. And when we went to the school for admission, a statement was made that the school is not a disability school. It hurt me so much.
How did you feel? Describe that day. How did you feel?
It was bad.
Why did you feel very bad? You tell me.
Because I think even though I cannot walk, I can talk, I can write. So why is it that because of my condition, I can't get admission in a basic school? So that day, I feel very bad. It was very sad for me. But a Catholic priest, who was my Catholic priest, because it was a Catholic school, the name that I know is Father Kofi. He stood up for me, and then I was admitted. I gained admission in the school. So I completed a Lady of Assumption in 2009, and then I got Orally Senior High, but because of the building and those things, the assemblyman in our place talked to Amasama Senior High Technical School principal, and I got admission in Amasama Senior High Technical School. So I attended Amasama Senior High Technical School, and I completed 2013.
She has managed to scale over impediments put in her way, but now a seemingly bigger one remains.
So in 2014, this year, which is 1st February, admission of Teachers Training College forms came out, and I bought one to apply for Teachers Training College. I had admission, but the problem is that they don't have facilities that will take me. The environment there is not friendly to me, and the classrooms, there are steps, and I can't move easily. So I was asking of transfer, but they said before I get the transfer, I have to get a school that will take me before I can get the transfer. My mom went to a Kropong Teachers Training College. So when we went there and talked to the principal, she also said even though when they get a place for me to sleep, where I'll ease myself and where I'll take my bath, they don't have those facilities that will be able to take me. So it can't be possible for me to be there. So she also tried to contact Ola College of Education, Cape Coast, and that was also the same problem. They don't have facilities that I'll take facilities in which when I'm going to ease myself or when I'm going to take my bath, it will be easy for me. I feel very bad. It's so sad that in the in a country in which we live, the government is saying that everybody have a right to move around. But in a case like my own, it's very difficult for me to even gain admission in a tertiary.
Cecilia feels lost and confused, so we take her to the school to verify her claims.
Oh, okay.
This is Mount Mary Teacher Training College in Somanya. We tried to get to the principal's office to talk to him.
So we're just going to the principal's office. We cannot access. We cannot go this because it is very obvious that this wheelchair cannot go down.
I meet up with the principal, Peter Tefua, who is concerned about Cecilia and wants her to start school. He said that though there are persons with disability in the school, Cecilia will be the first wheelchair user. We surveyed the school to find out how disability friendly the school is.
Maybe you have a special
so that they'll collect the football.
So many steep stairs. Virtually every facility of the school can mainly be accessed using stairs. Peter Tefua proposed to use the ground floor as Cecilia's classroom to accommodate her. But that will be all. Computer room and many other places can only be accessed with stairs. Even the road to the library is terrible, hence she cannot easily access it. Then getting into the library is another concern.
Here she can use her wheelchair and come all the way to this particular place. But the difficulty will be how she will get into the library, because though there is a ramp here, there is no ramp here.
Cecilia Chinto was given admission in the first place. We didn't know of her situation. And I even had a call from a brother that such and such a person have been given admission. The text message that we normally give at the initial stages. And discussed this with my brother on phone, where I wanted to help. And I asked if they could get an assistant, somebody who will be moving the wheelchair to assist her. Then, of course, we can also grant her the chance to rent an accommodation nearby so that she can be coming up and down. But the suggestion, as our discussion went to the extent that they were looking at places, other colleges where the land was, so to say, flat, so that she could move easily. Currently, what we have here, it will be very difficult to have a student in a wheelchair in this college. Even though we can do something about it, our facility here, as it is such that people with disability, in terms of those who are blind and who are deaf, can be here. But those with disability in terms of ability to walk can also be here. But those in wheelchair who really need support will need assistance from other people. And that is where I find it very difficult. Other students cannot be moving the wheelchair to assist that person. And so I find that one very difficult here.
Sefako Miranda is a disability advocate and an old girl of this college. She recalls challenges while still a student here and now wants government to walk the talk.
I can assure you that it wasn't easy at all. I used to fall and fall and fall. As you saw those classrooms downstairs, the hole there, my crutches got broken so many times, and it got to a time by then some of the people were very helpful, and they had to even charter taxi for me at times to rush me back to Nsawam Orthopedic Center, because that is the only place we have in the whole Ghana, and that's another issue. The whole Ghana, that is an entity or a private setup, and that is where we can only do something about our crutches, our calipers, or artificial limbs, and what any aid that you want, it is orthopedic. So you can imagine, I was even going to a class one day and fell down and crutches got broken, and I was on the ground there, and they had to look for a taxi and rush me to Nsawam. That is the situation that we face on this campus, and it's something that very traumatizing, and that is the more reason why we are trying to prevent that, so that the subsequent admissions or people who are in the same situation will not go through this type of trauma and this type of things that will make them regret or even get stuck on their way in terms of education. So if Ghana really wants people with disability to be productive and independent and add value to the country in terms of our MDG goals, our what goals we have assigned to and signed for, then we should have a second look at this situation and make disability issues our priority.
So until government acts really fast, Cecilia, who is qualified to be a teacher, will remain out of school and her future will be bleak.
Welcome again to Eyes Right, and as we've shown you the video, Cecilia may never become the teacher that she wants to be. So we're trying to balance the issue of persons who have been involved in advocacy when it comes to disability. With me is the National Advocacy Office of the Ghana Federation for the Disabled, in the person of Isaac Tobin. He joins me to discuss this particular issue. Thank you very much, sir, for your time.
Thank you.
Now, we've told you the story about Cecilia. Now, she has been able to go through school and everything. At this moment that she wants to become a teacher, she cannot. Let me take your initial comment on that.
I think it is a violation of her rights. If you look at the Person with Disability Act, Section 6, it requires that all places where the public have access to must be made accessible to persons with disability as well. And if Section 9, Article 9 of the UN Convention of the Rights of Persons with Disability, which Ghana ratified in 2012, also required that accessibility should be made, public places should be made accessible to persons with disability. Now, the convention is one of the pro-disability legislation. One Ghana has ratified that become one of the pro-disability legislation operational in the country. So if Cecilia is willing, has gone through the hustle to reach this level, and she wants to go to teacher training school, and it is becoming difficult, I think it is a violation of her right, complete, outright, so far as the two provisions, legislations are concerned. One, in the first place, I don't know the training school that she wants to go to, whether it existed before the Person with Disability Act came into effect. Even if it does, it did, it then means that by now it should have been modified. Because since the law came into effect in 2006, structure that existed before 2006 were given 10 years grace period to modify themselves, to make themselves as accessible to persons with disability. We are in the 9th year, and there is no reason why that school would not have done anything to enable Cecilia to participate in the teacher training education. I think it is unacceptable, and we will have to follow up the matter.
Now let me find out from you. It's been 9 years, you say.
Yeah.
And that has not been done. Is this a common issue, the issue of access to access for persons living with some kind of physical challenge? I mean, you are one of them, so you'll be in a better position to tell us. Is it a common thing that comes to you?
I think that is the greatest challenge for a person with disability: accessibility, access to public places, access to services, and so on. These are the two issues that are impeding the progress of a person with disability. And for example, when we talk about capacity building and other things, competency, education is one area that people pass through to acquire skills and knowledge. But most of the schools are not accessible to persons with disability. Even where some can participate, like the visually, the deaf do not have sign language interpreters and other things in the school to help them. And these are problems, huge problems. And that is why some persons with disability do not have the required skill for employment, employable skill. And what is surprising, yesterday we had the State of the Nation address. And it was my expectation, I was hoping that the president would have touched on that very issue, because the 10-year moratorium expired in 2016. And I was thinking that he was going to touch on it, that to remind all government ministries and department and agency to work towards meeting the deadline. But I didn't hear anything about that. He also talked about distribution of textbooks, computers, school uniforms, sandals, and building of school facilities and other things. But I didn't hear anything like the distribution of assistive technology to enable the visually impaired also participate in education. I did not hear anything concerning how accessible these schools they are building will be to enable persons with disability participate in this education. And know nothing about sign language to enable the deaf participate in the education. So far as that area was concerned, persons with disability were left out completely. And that was, I was very much sorry about that.
Yeah.
So it is a huge problem for a person with disability.
Right.
Wherever you go, for example, it is only here that you have these ramps. And the ramp doesn't get to everywhere. They have their limitation. If you want, you have to get to the entrance where they lift it. You can't enter with your wheelchair. And the lift itself is very narrow, very small. No wheelchair can enter. If you take the ramp and go up there, just to the first floor, you can't go up again. And that is it. And this place is even better than all the government ministries, departments, and agencies we see. So it is really, really a huge problem. When it comes to employment, the same thing, because the work environment is not accessible, and that is making it difficult. Some employers shy away from recruiting persons with disability because they know their work environment is not accessible.
So I want to know the number. I just want to have an idea of the number of persons living with physical challenges here in Ghana.
When we talk about person living with disability, it's about 20% of the Ghanaian population, but 3% of that is made up of people with severe disability. So if we are about 25%, 25 million. So 20% of that will be the number of persons living with disability.
Interesting.
And then so one other thing is the National Council of Persons with Disability, by law, by the requirement of the Act 715, is supposed to have collected data on registered all persons with disability in the country.
But that has not been done?
It has not been done because the council has not been resourced. It has not been staffed. And these are the challenges the council is having. And because of that, in the course of our regional consultation to amend the Act has fallen short completely with regard to the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability. And Article 4B of the Convention requires all state parties to harmonize their domestic legislation with the Convention. So what we are doing now is we carry out regional consultation in order to amend the Act.
Okay.
And in the course of that, one thing that ran throughout was to get the council to be elevated to the status of an authority, so that it will have its own budgetary allocation, it will have its own staff and recruitment procedure. That will help the council to work, and will have the autonomy that it used to enforce compliance with the provision of the the Person with Disability Act and the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability.
As it stands now, what is the level of progress?
As it stands now, we'll finish with the regional consultation. But as I was saying earlier on, the Act itself, Act 715, you know, acts are normally skeletal in nature. So you will need the legislative instrument, the LI, to operationalize them. But since 2006 to date, the LI has not been developed and passed. So the Act was also having problems because the flesh was not there. The legislative instrument must prescribe how the provision should be implemented. For example, we have a provision like person with disability will enjoy free education. The LI should be able to tell at what level are they enjoying free education. What will the free education be comprised of? All these things, because the LI is not there, these are not spelled out. We also have a provision like employer who employ a person with disability will enjoy incentive like tax rebate.
Right.
What percentage of tax rebate? But because the LI is not there, these things are not spelled out. So no employer is motivated to employ. You understand? But as of now, we have finished with the regional consultation, and now our consultant is developing the draft amended version of Act 715 for it to submit to government for consideration for adoption and adoption. So that will fast track the amendment process of the Act.
So if you look at the process and the level of the level that you've reached, how far do you think you need to go?
So for us, our problem will be how fast will government go upon receiving the draft amended
But it's
version.
about you putting it together and submitting it to them.
That is one. For us, within before the end of March, we should be able to submit that draft amended version of the Act to government. But how fast government will go, we'll be pushing, we'll be advocating. But how far government will go, will run with the draft will be the problem. This is why. Because it looks as if disability issues still remain an area which is not of greater interest to the stakeholder, or should I say, the government of the day.
Let's bring the issue back home. Let's come back and talk about Cecilia. Right now, we have seen that she cannot go to school, not because she's not getting admission, not because she's not qualified, but because she doesn't have access. I mean, it's difficult for her to. They told her that you cannot have a place to ease yourself. When it comes to taking your bath, it will be difficult. So because of that, she cannot go to school. What can the Federation do about
What I would
such
do,
situation?
we would like to have the contact of Cecilia and to find out the very school that she has gotten the admission from, and we'll take it from that level. Something must be done immediately to enable her attend the college. Something must be done. There is no reason under the sun and the moon why they will give only excuses that she cannot do this, she cannot do that. How come that they made it possible for others to do and they cannot make it possible for her to do?
Well, now, if you want to demand from the school, for instance, and I don't know if that's what you want to do, if you want to demand from the school that they take her up, it will be very difficult for her.
We are not going to start with the school. Schools do not provide facilities. It is the Ghana Education Service we are going to go to. And we are going to go to the assemblies where the schools are located. That is where we are going to go. And that is the place we will start from. Right. All we need at the moment is the contact of Cecilia.
Okay. And do you see a positive outcome at the end of the day? What would that be?
I think positive outcome will come. Something must be done.
What are we looking at? What is likely to happen?
They must do some modification of their environment to enable her to attend the school. That we must push for. Because what is the use of passing laws and shelving them? We would have just as better have not passed the law at all. But now that we have laws, the enforcement of the provision of the law must be carried out.
Interesting. Let me take your final words on this particular issue that we've
My
discussed.
final word is to all Ghanaians, to government ministry, department and agencies, to corporate organizations, to churches and mosques and all other people operating public places, that the 10-year moratorium expired in 2016 and there will be no excuse whatsoever that places are still inaccessible to persons with disability. They are given 10 years. And if they fail to do anything about it in 10 years, then I think that the law must take its course. That time we will not sit down at all and accept any explanation from anybody.
What will be your action at that time?
We will have to go to court. And then we will expect the court. We will expect the court and the Chief Justice to be honest enough and make sure that all cases brought against anybody with regard to accessibility are fast-tracked. It shouldn't be something that will be dilly-dally here and there. We wouldn't like that one. It would be unfortunate if the judiciary would do such a thing to her. Because looking at the fact that they are given 10 years, and after 10 years they haven't done anything, and one will bring a case and you have to take another long time, that would be unfortunate. Next year, the 10-year moratorium expires.
Ends next year?
Yes.
All right.
And all structures will drag everybody to court.
Do you have the finances to do that, if I may ask?
Finances to go to court?
Yes.
We'll look for it.
Right.
We'll seek foreign donors to support it.
Right.
And I hope Joy TV, Multi TV, and Joy FM, you are friends. We don't want you to fall foul of the law. You start now.
Interesting points there that Mr. Isaac Togun is making. Mr. Isaac Togun is the National Advocacy Officer of the Ghana Federation of the Disabled, sharing with us his insight about Cecilia's special case.